Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
It started with a smell. Not perfume this time. Not cologne. It was cinnamon. Sweet, heavy, almost sticky in the air. Out of place. My wife, Claire, never wore cinnamon anything. She hated it. Said it reminded her of college dorm rooms, of cheap candles that left black soot on the walls. So when I came home one Thursday night and smelled cinnamon in our bedroom, I froze. Claire was at the dresser, brushing her hair in slow, steady strokes. She smiled at me, asked about my day, kissed me lightly on the cheek. Her lips were warm, her eyes steady, her tone perfectly even. But the scent was everywhere. Not hers, not mine, someone else's. I didn't say anything, not that night. The next morning, she made pancakes, cinnamon pancakes. She had never made them before, not once in 8 years of marriage. She whistled while she cooked, humming along to the radio. We sat down, ate together like nothing was wrong. I cut into the pancakes, forced a bite into my mouth, but I couldn't taste anything but the smell from the night before. Cinnamon. It sat on my tongue like an accusation. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing more. Her phone lit up at odd hours. Names I didn't recognize. Sometimes just initials, A, D, Bem. Once, a message that just said, "Last night was worth it." There were little things too. A cardigan I didn't recognize folded neatly in the laundry basket. A wine glass in the sink with lipstick that wasn't her shade. A receipt tucked into her purse for a bar across town, a place I'd never been. But on the back, in looping handwriting, the bartender had written, "See you soon, smiley face." It looked like infidelity. All the classic signs. But when I asked questions lightly, casually, her answers came back smooth, calm, perfectly believable. The project at work got extended. Traffic was a nightmare. Girls' night. You know how it is. She even threw in details. The name of a co-worker, a story about a printer jamming, some office gossip. Too sharp to be lies. And that's what twisted me up inside. If she was lying, she was good. If she wasn't lying, then what the hell was I seeing? That's when the second bottom started showing. One night, while she was in the shower, I checked her phone. Locked, of course, but her iPad in the kitchen was synced to the same messages. I opened it, my hands shaking. I expected to see messages from some stranger, some lover, but instead I saw me. Dozens of texts written in my voice, not about me, from me. Conversations with someone named her. Long strings of flirty messages. Dinner reservations, hotel confirmations, all written in my style, phrases I use, jokes I make, even my spelling quirks. It was like someone had copied me. My stomach dropped, because when I scrolled further, I saw screenshots of my messages, forwarded to Claire, and her replies cold, detached. This is what I mean. He doesn't even hide it anymore. Claire wasn't cheating. Claire was building a case. I closed the iPad, my pulse hammering so loud I thought she'd hear it through the running water. When she came downstairs later, towel around her shoulders, she looked relaxed, kissed me on the forehead like I was the one who needed comfort, and I forced a smile, forced words out of my mouth like everything was normal. But inside, something cracked, because it wasn't just the fear that she was seeing someone else. It was worse. It was the realization that she wanted the world to believe I was the cheater. And it was working. It started subtle. Her sister stopped calling me back. At family dinners, her mother barely looked at me. My boss called me into his office and said, "Carefully, Daniel, just be mindful of your conduct outside of work. Things have a way of traveling back here." Everywhere I turned, people were pulling away, looking at me differently, like they knew something I didn't, like they already judged me guilty. I was living in a house that smelled of cinnamon, eating meals with a woman who kissed me goodnight, all while the ground under me was shifting like sand. It wasn't just infidelity. It wasn't just betrayal. It was a setup. And the worst part, the fake evidence was flawless. After that night with the iPad, I didn't sleep. I lay there staring at the ceiling while Claire breathed slow and steady beside me. Every inhale from her sounded like a metronome, ticking down my sanity, because all I could think about was the messages, my voice, my words, my identity twisted into something unrecognizable. Who was her? And how was she pulling this off? The next morning, I watched her closely. She moved around the kitchen in her robe, hair pinned up, humming to herself. She poured me coffee like she always did, asked me about my schedule, laughed at something on her phone. She was playing the role of the perfect wife, and I realized she wasn't just hiding something. She was rehearsing. Every gesture calculated, every smile a performance, and if she was performing, that meant she had an audience. I started my investigation small. First, I checked my own account's email, bank, phone records. Nothing unusual. No strange logins. No charges I didn't recognize. But then I dug into the iPad again, this time deeper, and that's when I noticed something I'd missed. The messages from me weren't coming from my number. They were from a VoIP account, a burner line disguised to look local. But the name at the top was still Daniel. She had been screenshotting these fake conversations and sending them around like gospel, which meant somewhere out there was a third party, someone pretending to be me. But who? 4 weeks. I collected data. Quietly, carefully. I checked the trash folder in her email when she left her laptop open. Found receipts for prepaid SIM cards, rented under her maiden name. I checked the credit card statement and noticed small charges $12.99, $19.99, services tied to number masking. She was creating a digital ghost of me. And when I realized that, I nearly broke. Because it wasn't just paranoia anymore. It was a coordinated effort to erase me, to rewrite me as someone I wasn't. Claire didn't just want out of the marriage. She wanted me destroyed. The first real crack showed up on a Wednesday night. She said she had a late meeting. I said nothing, just nodded, pretending to be lost in a spreadsheet on my laptop. But when she left, I followed. I trailed her car across town, headlights dimmed, heart hammering against the steering wheel. She parked outside a hotel, a mid-tier chain. Nothing flashy. She walked in with her phone pressed to her ear, smiling. I waited 15 minutes, then circled the lot. That's when I saw it. A man leaning against a silver sedan, scrolling on his phone. Tall, dark hair, expensive watch glinting under the lot lights. She met him at the side entrance. He kissed her cheek. She laughed. They went inside together. I took photos. Shaky hands, blurry shots, but proof. I thought he was the affair, the lover, the man she was risking everything for. But 2 days later, I learned the truth. Scrolling her iPad again, I found an email, sent not to a friend, not to family, but to a lawyer. Attached to her files, screenshots of my fake texts, photos of me apparently meeting with another woman, blurry, indistinct, clearly staged, and a subject line that made my blood run cold. Building the record. The man at the hotel wasn't her affair. He was her accomplice. That's when the paranoia really set in. Everywhere I went, I felt eyes on me. At work, in the grocery store, even at the gym. Once, I spotted the same silver sedan parked a rows down from my own. Another time, a stranger accidentally bumped me, dropping his phone just as I passed by as if he'd been filming me. Claire wasn't just rewriting me. She was staging me, creating a trail, piece by piece, until the world believed I was the liar, the cheat, the fraud. And it was working. Friends grew distant. My boss warnings got sharper. Even my own brother asked, "Are you sure you're okay, man? Claire says you've been different." Different. That word hit me like a slap. Because she was right. I was different, but not in the way she wanted people to believe. I wasn't a cheater. I was a man slowly realizing his entire life was being turned into evidence against him. One night, I finally confronted her, not directly, but sideways. "Claire," I said over dinner, watching her cut her chicken into perfect squares, "do you ever feel like people see us differently? Like they think we're not as strong as we are?" She smiled softly, almost pityingly. "Daniel, people will always talk. We just have to be ourselves." Ourselves. Except myself was no longer mine. She was rewriting me in real time, feeding the world a version of me that didn't exist. And I realized then, I couldn't stop her lies by arguing. Words wouldn't matter. Evidence wouldn't matter. Not when she controlled the narrative. The only way to beat her was to let her bury herself in her own performance. I started my own file. Not just notes this time, videos, recordings, backups of her emails pulled from cloud syncs she forgot were still connected. I labeled everything. Dates, times, locations. I wasn't documenting a marriage anymore. I was documenting a crime scene. And every night, lying beside her in the same bed, listening to her breathe peacefully, I thought the same thing. She thinks she's building a record against me, but she has no idea I'm building one against her. The breaking point came on a Friday evening. Claire was dressed sharp navy blazer, heels that clicked like gunshots against the hardwood. She said she had a networking event. I smiled, kissed her cheek, and told her to have fun. As soon as the door closed, I opened the hidden drive on my laptop. I had every piece of her scheme catalogued. The prepaid SIM purchases, the voyeur line logs, her staged photos, and even audio clips of her whispering to her accomplice about how much longer she could keep Daniel contained. Contained, like I was some animal in a pen. I knew tonight wasn't networking. It was the night Shed pushed the final domino. I followed her again. This time, not from a distance. She drove across town to a restaurant, mid-tier Italian, dim lighting, the kind of place people choose for quiet conspiracies. I sat 3 tables away, hat low, phone recording in my jacket pocket. She wasn't meeting the dark-haired man this time. No, she met with a woman mid-40s, severe haircut, business folder on the table, a lawyer. I couldn't hear every word, but enough drifted over between clinks of wine glasses. Claire talked about establishing abandonment, documented infidelity, irreparable harm. She was filing for divorce, but not just any divorce. She was setting me up for financial ruin, reputation ruin, the works. She wanted the house, the accounts, maybe even alimony. She wanted to erase me. That's when my plan crystallized. The next morning, I told Claire I was going out for errands. Instead, I met with someone she didn't know I had, a friend of mine from college who now works cybersecurity for a private investigations firm. I slid the folder across his desk. I need everything airtight, I said. He whistled low as he flipped through a trail. She's thorough, but sloppy. See this? He pointed at the VoIP account receipts. She left her IP address all over these. These aren't just fake numbers. They're evidence of intent to fabricate. By the end of the week, I had a digital package, timestamps, cloud backups, her voice recorded, even her accomplice's texts, all signed, sealed, undeniable. Claire thought she was writing the story. What she didn't know was I had already prepared the epilogue. The showdown came 2 Sundays later. I invited her parents, her sister, and 2 mutual friends over for dinner. I cooked her favorite roast chicken with rosemary. Claire floated around the kitchen, a perfect hostess, wine in hand, mask flawless. After dessert, I stood up. I have something to share. Claire blinked, confused. Daniel. I set my laptop on the table and hit play. First came her emails to the lawyer, then the staged photos of me, clearly fake, then the audio of her voice saying, "I'll fade out eventually. Don't worry, baby." The room went silent. Her mother's fork clattered. Her father's face turned to stone. Claire lunged for the laptop, but I shut it with one hand. No, Claire, they deserve the truth. I deserve the truth. Her mask cracked. You don't understand. No, I said. I understand perfectly. You didn't just betray me. You tried to destroy me. And here is the second bottom. Because as I stared at her, trembling, mascara streaking her cheeks, I realized something that chilled me more than the betrayal itself. Claire hadn't done all this for love, or for lust, or even for money. She'd done it because she enjoyed it. The lies, the performance, the manipulation. It wasn't about another man. He was just a prop. The real affair was with her own power. And in that moment, I understood Claire didn't want a new partner. She wanted an audience. I filed for divorce the next morning, with the evidence. It was clean, decisive, swift. She didn't fight. She couldn't. She moved out within a month. The accomplice vanished like smoke, no doubt realizing she had no more use for him. The lawyer dropped her case cold. And me. I stayed in the house, slept in silence, Woke up without the sound of someone scripting my downfall. But I didn't celebrate, because the real wound wasn't losing Claire. It was realizing I had lived with someone who saw me as nothing more than a canvas for her fiction. Sometimes betrayal comes with lipstick stains and hotel rooms. Sometimes it comes with laughter behind a locked bathroom door. But sometimes betrayal wears a mask so convincing you don't realize until too late that you were never married to a person. You were married to a performance. Thanks for sticking with me through this story. If you made it this far, hit subscribe to End Stories. New confessions drop every single day. Twists, betrayals, secrets people never thought they'd admit. There's already a library waiting for you. And trust me, the next one will leave you just as breathless.